Hello again, fight fans. Welcome to episode number 325 of the Neutral Corner Boxing Podcast. I am your host, Michael Montero, for The Ring Magazine, ringtv.com, and the Ring Digital YouTube channel, where you are watching me live right now around the world. As always, I ask you guys to make sure that you're subscribed to the Ring Digital. Make sure that you click that little notification bell so you never miss a live video. But I understand not all of you can catch the live video. Not to worry. The audio pod will be released tomorrow, less than 24 hours after this video. By the way, some of you guys have commented before that you try to watch the video back and there's a lot of buffering and stuff. It takes YouTube a few hours because these episodes generally go about 90 minutes or more to buffer the video. So if you try to watch back right after the video ends, it's going to be kind of nasty. It's going to be choppy and buffering and all kinds of stuff. So it takes a few hours and then it'll be just fine. You guys can rewatch it. No issues there. But likes, ratings, reviews, shares, that's the stuff that we need. You need to make sure that you're following me on social media. My handle is Montero Unboxing. So whether it's Twitter, Instagram, of course, YouTube, I have my own channel, Facebook, whatever, you find me at that handle. If you want to check out my website, it's monterounboxing.com. And there you can check out some MOB swag. And speaking of swag, I got to break this out this week. You guys are going to love this. Check out this Oleksander Usyk jersey. Boom. Look at that. That's the front. And that is the back. How dope is this, right? Now, look, I will absolutely be rocking this Saturday. Make no bones about it. I'm going to be wearing that this weekend. All right. Question is, would you guys like to see a fight party for the big fight this weekend? Would you like to see a fight party, a live fight party on my channel where we can watch the fight together, chop it up together? If so, let me know. I mean, comment here, DM me, tweet me, whatever. Let me know. If enough of you guys respond, we'll go ahead and do a live fight video. Man, I'm already losing my voice. We're only a few minutes in. It's going to be a loaded show, guys. I know that some of you are already on the phones. Jack, you're already on the phones. Need you there. Kindly, politely asking, guys, please hang up because I have a lot to cover. Call back later on in the show, all right? I have a lot to cover today. We're going to get to as many phone calls as possible. We're going to have to limit the time if we got a bunch of them because I know a lot of you guys will have opinions on the big fight this weekend and on what we saw last weekend. But I got a lot to cover. All right, we got a lot of ground to cover. I'm going to be talking for a while before I can even get to phones. So please call back later on. All right, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, Jack in the comments. I know, bro, you're just trying to be first. I get it, guys. I get it. For all of you that just called in early, I'm not trying to be a dick, I promise. It's just I have a lot to cover. I appreciate you guys calling in. You guys know that I appreciate you a lot. Let's get right into this, man. Let's get right into this because we got much to discuss. Let's start with some news and notes, all right? And you guys have probably already heard this stuff. So Adrian Broner pulls out of his fight with Omar Figueroa, literally the week of the fight, on fight week, and he's citing mental health issues. Some people are having fun with this on Twitter. There was one meme I had to retweet. The shit was hilarious. It showed Broner with his 18 kids, and it said this is the first time Broner's pulled out of anything. Oh, I mean, look, you could use that same joke against Ryan Garcia, and people did last year, and I retweeted it then. I retweeted it today. Shit's funny. But in all seriousness, I think we all know that Adrian Broner is a little kooky. Yeah, there's some shit going on there. It does look a little funny that he's pulling out less than a week from the fight. Makes you wonder about certain things. He's had issues with weight. He's had issues with other things before. Who the hell knows? But Sergey Lipinets, who was brought in on the undercard very, very late, so people tied to this promotion, they knew there was something up, and they knew that the main event was possibly going to blow up. They brought in Sergey Lipinets on the undercard, and boom, there he is to step in the main event and fight Omar Figueroa. So I'll talk about that later on in the show during the preview portion, of course. For Adrian Broner, listen, I'm not going to beat up on a guy if he's having a tough time. I'll just say this. I can't think of a more... The term privilege gets thrown around a lot. It's political, I understand. I don't mean it in a political sense. But he does seem to be one of the more privileged fighters of this past generation. I can't think of a fighter that has received more opportunities, more undeserved opportunities over and over and over again than Adrian Broner. I know the guy does bring in some numbers, although those numbers have largely diminished in recent years. The guy does bring in some numbers, and that's part of the privilege. I get it. I totally understand it, right? It's the same principle as other fighters like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. There's plenty of others I could bring up. I get it. Maybe entitled's the better word. I don't know what the better word is, but it just seems like this dude, even though he literally just pulled out of a fight on fight week, okay, that was going to carry a promotion. It was the main event. And he's done stuff like this so many times, but you just know Adrian Broner will be headlining a Showtime event either later this year or early next year. He will receive another undeserved opportunity. It will happen again and again and again until he retires. That's just how it works for that guy. Just one of those guys. Also, I talked about this on my Friday show over on my channel, Montero Unboxing. A lot of Fridays I do a show called Friday Wrap Up. It's fun. We just kind of shoot the shit and just, preview what's coming up and just catch up on the news from the week and everything else. And you guys call in. I talked about the Tyson Fury announcement, and he announced for like the 3 billionth time that he's retired. The only difference this time is two things, and this might not be public knowledge, some of this, what I'm about to say, because some of it's inside, ring stuff. But the WBC has announced, they made it official that, hey, we're going to make a decision about what to do with the WBC belt in 2 weeks. Now, they conveniently said we're going to take care of this after the Usyk-Joshua fight, which I find particularly interesting and typical. But also on top of that, so somebody at Ring Magazine, I don't know if they want to be named or not, but one of the top dogs at Ring talked to Tyson Fury over the weekend, and Fury agreed to vacate his Ring Magazine championship belt. So, and I don't mean like, Ring said, hey, vacate this. They just interviewed him. They talked to him. Hey, Tyson, what's up? Is this retirement real? What's going on? I don't want anybody trying to find some conspiracy theory here. It was basically just a reach out, like, hey man, what's up with this? What's really going on? And he said, yeah, it's legit. I'm retiring. This is it. Yeah, vacate the belt. It's all good. So a decision was immediately made for Ring Magazine to make the Usyk-Joshua fight, to sanction it for our belt. It didn't even have to go to vote. It was pretty much just unanimously decided by the editorial board. I made my opinion known very, very quickly, and I copied several of those guys like, hey, this is what we should do. It didn't even have to go to the ratings committee or anything like that. So some people don't like that. I get it. Some people think it's political. It's just that. What I find interesting is the same people that have an issue with this now had absolutely no issue when we sanctioned the rematch between Fury and Deontay Wilder, a PBC promotion, when we did that for the Ring Magazine championship belt. Because at that time, AJ had lost. Right, I know he came back and beat Ruiz, but he had lost, so he dropped down in the ratings, and it just happened to be a timing thing where Fury and Wilder were the number 1 and number 2 heavyweights as we rated them at that time, and we stepped in and said, yeah, this rematch for the Ring Magazine championship. A lot of people liked that. Nobody complained, but a lot of those same people that loved that decision are now beating up on this one. I find that kind of funny, but kind of predictable and typical. You know how it goes. All right, that's enough with the news and or notes at this point. Let's see, what other news and notes? How can I make this about me? My wife is in her 3rd trimester of pregnancy, and we took a bunch of classes this week, or this weekend, I should say, at the hospital. We took an infant CPR class, baby essentials, woo! And what else did we take? Oh, breastfeeding. Yeah, I had to learn about that shit too. So I'm trying to be a good husband. I'm learning all this different stuff. So there's some personal news and notes. Good times. I'm taking all these classes. This shit's freaking me out. We got about 2 months till I'm officially a father. God help us. Okay, a super chat from Isan. What's up, Isan? Long time no see, man. He just says, Mike. I like that one. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And Sam A with the super chat, one of the biggest supporters of the show. Thank you so much, Sam. He says, Broner never been stopped, but that's it. Retire. Hey, man, I hear you, but we both know he won't. And again, he's going to receive another opportunity. Christian O in the chat. This isn't a super chat, but I got to bring this up. It's a great comment. Happy 2-year anniversary of Rolly Romero robbing Jackson Mariñez of a victory. Boom. Yeah, no doubt. That was a massive robbery. We all know why PBC did that. It's pretty obvious why they went that route. Okay. We got through news and notes. Now we're on to the review. We're going to have a little fun with this one. So last Saturday, Top Rank Boxing at the Resorts World Las Vegas. This was on ESPN and ESPN Plus. We'll get to the main event in a second, but real quick on the undercard, a couple of the 2020 U.S. Olympians got unanimous decision wins. They were 6-rounders, so they got in 6 rounds of work. Troy Isley and Duke Reagan, so good wins by those guys. I like that they're getting rounds and they're not blowing guys out in one round. That's good. And then talking about prospects, Xander Zayas improves to 14-0 TKO 5 win over Elias Espadas out of Mexico. This was an 8-round 154 fight. So Zayas continues to be a guy that we're really, really excited about, keeping an eye on. You know, ESPN and Top Rank especially, their erection is at full salute with this kid because they are desperate for a Puerto Rican superstar, just desperate for it. That's just been part of their business for a long, long time. And they have a lot of media connections through the Puerto Rican market, and then especially up in the Northeast of America through the Puerto Rican channels there. So they really got high hopes for this kid. Some people thought this stoppage was too fast. I get it. I personally thought the fight could have continued, and I think you're doing a kid a disservice when you stop fights too fast like that because he needs rounds. This kid needs rounds to work. But the writing was on the wall. We knew who was going to win this fight. The kid is, 19? I think I talked about this last week. He's 19, going on 20. Give him time. The one thing I will say is that at some point, you got to step the kid up a little bit, because if he has nothing but soft touches for 3 years or something, and then you step him up, you could be in a difficult situation. I mean, we saw what happened to Edgar Berlanga. I do think a lot more of Zayas than Berlanga, but I'm just saying, at a certain point, you're going to get in there with a guy that can take the punches, that can punch back, and you got to have a little something. And if you've just been eating for free, basically, and having it all your way, when you face some adversity, you may not be ready for that shit. It might really slap you in the face, and you find out like, whoa, I wasn't ready for this. So hopefully they step the kid up a little bit going toward the end of this year into next year. All right, main event. It was the Takeback, not the Takeover. Although the Takeover is still trending on Twitter a lot higher than the Takeback. I checked today. So the Takeback hasn't quite taken hold on social as much as the Takeover. Anyway, Teofimo Lopez, TKO 7 win over Pedro Campa, who is having his first fight outside of Mexico, and you can see why. This was a 10-round, 140-pound fight. Teofimo Lopez making his debut in a 140-pound division. His comeback from the loss to George Kambosos Jr., which, of course, was Teo's last fight at 135 at lightweight. And he had trouble making weight for some time, and he blamed that and a bunch of other things for the loss. Look, I could sit here and talk about all the stuff after that Kambosos loss and how he handled it and all that. I'm not going to go there. We're not going to talk about the past. We're going to talk about right now going forward. I think some people were beating up on Teo a little bit too much because of his performance. A lot of people were saying, man, he should have got this guy out of there in 2 or 3 rounds. Look, Teo is coming off. I'm going to go back on my word just a little bit right now. If you look at the way the guy's been talking over the last few months and stuff, clearly there is a lot of psychological, emotional baggage there that he's been working through, a lot of things in his personal life that he took into this fight. And you saw how heavy things felt for him, right? I don't mean that literally. I mean that metaphysically, right? There was a lot of it was heavy. And he had to work through a lot of things. So I think it's good he got rounds in. Now, was he showboating a bit too much and doing this, that, the other? Yeah, okay. He was trying to entertain the crowd. They knew what level they had in front of him. I think they thought Kambosos was on that level, and he found out real quickly that he wasn't, okay? But he knew after a few rounds, and Campa had a couple of moments in the first 2 or 3 rounds, but after the 3rd round, this was complete one-way traffic. And Teo knew he could do whatever the hell he wanted to do. right? And he just chipped away at this dude and had some fun with it. He switched hit. He hit him behind his back a couple times. He was doing stuff like that and dancing around and showboating. And some people don't like that. Some people do. I don't really give a shit. Bottom line is this. He knew what level of opponent he had in front of him. He got in some work, shook off the ring rust, got in that first fight at 140. He weighed in at like 138 and some change, right? So he's not even fully grown into the division yet. For a first fight in the division, I say this was a good performance. I say this, I'm not going to give this an A+ performance. I'll give it an A-. I mean, what else did you want the guy to do other than blow this dude out in 2 or 3 rounds? Teo barely got hit clean at all in the entire fight. He took a couple shots, but they were glancing. He rolled with them. He smothered them. He parried them, most of the shots. And again, by like the 4th, 5th round, he had dude completely figured out, one-way traffic, took his time, broke him down, dropped him, got the stoppage. So I think some people were rating the performance a little too harshly. I thought, yeah, this was matchmaking 101 by Top Rank. I get that, okay? I'm not trying to give this kid extra credit for doing what he was supposed to do, but he did do what he was supposed to do. So let's give him credit for that. And obviously the dude's got some emotional fragility going on and things like that. Was coming back from his first professional loss. Those things are not easy. Had been humbled in that loss, at least somewhat. And so let's give the kid an A-. Okay. I think some of you guys are being a little too harsh. The best thing, most important thing is he knocked off some rust. That's really, really important. And he announced right after this fight, Teofimo Lopez Jr. did, that he should fight again December 10th, which I love because he hadn't fought at all this year. But he announced, hey, I'm going to fight again December 10th. Now, he did say ESPN pay-per-view, which is hilarious. I don't know who he could fight that would be on ESPN pay-per-view. That's not going to happen. If it does happen, boy, that thing is going to tank. Because I don't see him getting in there with anybody. Now, look, I'd love to be proven wrong. They've talked about Teofimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia. That'd be amazing. It's still not pay-per-view worthy in my mind, but I know there's going to be people out there talking like a promoter, fans talking like a promoter, saying, but Mike, it's 2 young guys and Garcia's underrated. And, to get him in the ring, you got to go pay-per-view because you got to pay him. And yeah, cool. That's promoter speak. From a fan's perspective, that ain't a pay-per-view worthy fight. Neither one has fought on pay-per-view. Ryan Garcia nor Teofimo Lopez. He didn't fight on pay-per-view when he fought Lomachenko, right? All that being said, if that fight happened December 10th, that'd be awesome. I just don't think it will happen. You look at all the fighters in the 140-pound division, particularly the fighters that Top Rank represents, there are a few options there, but most likely it's going to be Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza, which is a good fight. I like that fight. Don't get me wrong, but that ain't pay-per-view. Come on now. So the pay-per-view part kind of cracked me up. I don't see that. But if he does come back and fight December 10th, that's great. Fighting in August and then coming right back and fighting in December, I like that, especially if it is against a guy like a Barboza. That's a good fight. That's one of the best opponents Teo will have faced in his career today. It's a top 5 opponent for him. So I like that a lot. We'll see. We'll see what happens because he came out of this fight completely unscathed. No injuries, no cuts, nothing like that. But that's what I see happening. I'd love to be proven wrong, though. I'd love to be proven wrong. I got to talk about this. After the fight, Teofimo Lopez Jr. dancing and celebrating and almost crying like he had just beat Lomachenko in a rematch by knockout or something. It did feel a little bizarre. It did feel a little over the top, but considering everything I just said a minute ago about all the heavy weight he came in with, I get it. This was big for him in the sense of getting back in the win column and proving the naysayers wrong. Because there were actually people out there saying, man, he could lose this fight, and what were the odds? Like 300-1 or something. And the odds were insane. They were huge. For the odds makers knew what this was. But there were actually people on social media and stuff saying he could lose this fight, dude. Mentally, he's just not there, right? So I kind of get it from Teo Jr. Is it over the top and stuff? Yeah, but he kind of always does that. But, that's just his personality, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. we got to talk about Teo Sr. We got to talk about this guy. I'm going to share my screen real quick because for those of you who didn't see the broadcast on ESPN, Senior, right at the end of or after the fight, during the ring announcements, right? Basically at the point where the ring announcer says, and your winner by TKO 7, Teofimo Lopez Jr., right? Right when they get to the name, everybody in the boxing business knows that during that part, that's where the camera pushes in, right? The camera zooms in and you get that money shot that you're going to show on Sports Center, that you're going to show on YouTube. You're going to tweet it out, that little clip on all the social media and all that. Everybody knows that moment, right? Every fighter dreams about that moment and fantasizes about it, hearing their name announced by the ring announcer and raising their hand up in victory and the camera pushes in on you. And at that very second, Teofimo Lopez Sr. comes from behind Junior, gets not beside him, in front of him, kneels down and screams out to the heavens. And if you look right before he does it, he eyes where the camera is and gets right in front of the camera and makes the shit about him. Now he quickly gets up and walks away, but he's there when the name is announced because he knows that is the clip that's going to go out on social and on Sports Center here in America, all of that. It's going to be highlights of the fight and then that little shot where they're announcing his name. Look at every highlights package you ever see that's put out there. That's how it goes. So for him to jump in there like that and then be like, oh, it ain't about me, and then get up and run back behind his kid again after the name's announced. Dog, I was watching that Saturday night. My wife was passed out. She was asleep because, again, third trimester of pregnancy, she's out by 10 o'clock p.m., right? So I'm watching it by myself. And I out loud just go, oh, my God. I'm just like cringing and laughing my ass off. I'm like, he did not just do that shit. I'm not a parent, but I'm about to be one. Okay, so intellectually, I can at least kind of put myself there just a little bit. I am an uncle. I have a couple nephews. And I'm kind of an honorary uncle to a bunch of nieces and nephews of friends of mine all over the world, right? And I cannot picture myself ever during a moment that my child or a family member that I'm super proud of and love very much, or a good friend that is like a family member, right? During a moment where they're having their hand raised in triumph, and it doesn't even have to be boxing. It could be their damn flute recital at elementary school, whatever the fuck, okay? The science fair, whatever. I am not going to stand in front of them while their name's being announced and cheer and shit and then run back behind them to front like I'm not making it about me. I'm either going to stand behind my child or maybe beside my child and cheer for them and be proud. So I tweeted about this, and some of Teofimo Lopez Jr.'s family members responded. They weren't happy with it. Now, they didn't talk shit. They didn't get nasty about it. But there were several people not related to the family, just, friends and stuff that did get a little nasty with me. They're like, man, you a hater. Why you got to... Listen, I'm not hating on the man himself. But if you can't see that there's a little bit of an issue there psychologically, that there's a little bit of an issue, then you're blind. And I don't think you even have to be a parent to see that there's something a little off there. That wasn't right. And several of you that were at the fight told me that you saw Senior up in the stands taking selfies and dancing and shit. And by the way, there was people reached out to me during the Kambosos fight and said the same thing. When this guy should be talking to his kid and getting his kid ready, he's up in the stands taking selfies. This dude thinks he's a star. The only reason anybody knows who Teofimo Lopez Sr. is because of who Teofimo Lopez Jr. is, not the other way around. I give the man credit for teaching his son well, and he groomed his son into an outstanding athlete, an outstanding fighter, and a good young man. He did that, and he deserves credit for it. He also, Senior had a tremendous game plan for Vasily Lomachenko, and for at least 7-8 rounds, completely outcoached Lomachenko's corner. Now, in the last third of that fight, things changed, and that's why you're never going to see that rematch, because Teo Sr. knows it. So does Teo Jr. But the first 8 rounds, maybe even 8.5, he out-coached Loma's corner. I give that man all that credit. And I add that there's something a little off there. Let me just share my screen so you guys can see this. Now watch. So he's beside him, behind him. Now he comes right out. And if you look, right before he comes out, he gives a little glance and he sees where the camera is, because there's a camera up here in there's a camera like right in front of Teo Jr. and then there's one on the side, right? So he makes sure that he's in both shots. That's what he's doing right there. He's looking at the camera that's high, because there's one camera that's like eye level with Teo, but then there's one that's like knee level and shooting up, right? They like to get both of those shots. And Teo Sr., out of the corner of his eye, makes sure that he's in front of both cameras before he comes down on his knees to get this shot. Stands right in front of his son and then goes back. It's just, oh my God, this was cringeworthy as hell. And by the way, there are tremendous opportunities for you guys out there that can do Photoshop for memes. You can think of like just any kind of historical photo of somebody accomplishing something great, and you could just take Teo Sr. and put him in front, cheering. There are great opportunities for the meme artists out there. You guys need to get busy with that, because you could have a lot of fun. Okay. And for the last time, I want to make this clear. I like Teo Sr.'s passion. I like that he's proud of his son. I like that the father and son are close, okay? I like all those things, but you should never, ever make it about you, my man. Don't make it about you. It ain't about you. Yes, you taught your son everything he knows, but he's the one who physically does the stuff. He's the one in there taking the punches. He's sacrificing. He's cutting weight, right? He's taking years off of his life just in training. He's the one doing that, not you. Don't make this about you. Last but not least, I have to address this one comment. Somebody said something like, how did they word it? You know what? I can't remember exactly what they said. Shit. There was one more point I wanted to make about this, because I received a bunch of like hater comments, but there was a couple of them that were actually pretty good. And I can't remember all of them. I didn't put them all in my notes. It doesn't freaking matter. I like the passion. Oh, you know what? That's what it was. People have noted, and this is a good point, okay? People have noted, Mike, it doesn't bother Teofimo Jr., so why should it bother you? Junior doesn't seem to mind when his daddy makes shit about him. That's a good point. It's a good point, okay? And I hear you, but hear me back. Teo Jr. doesn't know what having a real dad's like. Or I won't say real dad, but having a humble dad is like. He doesn't know any better. His dad's always made shit about him, right? At least when the cameras are on. Maybe not when the cameras are off, but when the cameras and the microphones are on, it makes it about him. So Teo Jr. doesn't know any different. So I'm not going to, it's not that I'm passing judgment. I'm just commentating on something that I see that doesn't look quite right to me. And by the way, 90% of people out there, I think, agree with me. But there's that 10% that are just like, oh, don't bother the kid. Why should it bother anybody else? That's like an abusive wife not leaving her abusive husband. And people, well, it doesn't bother her if he slaps her in the face. So who gives a shit? Well, because she doesn't know any better. Not an apples to apples comparison. I get it. But you guys hear me. I just think Teo Jr. doesn't understand that in that moment, it really should have been about him. And so I'm still going to comment about this from an outsider perspective. And I don't know. Am I crazy, guys? Am I crazy? If I'm crazy, tell me, and I'll own that. If I'm way off on this and you disagree with me, I'll totally own that. But I have a feeling most of you are going to agree with me. All right, some super chats. Let's see. Anthony Santiago's, thank you so much, Ant. He says, good win by Zayas, but had me worried with his defense. Good performance by Teo, but man, he's so cringe now, and don't get me started on his father. LOL. Yeah, so look, with Zayas, I agree with you regarding the defense. You can't really work on defense if nobody's testing you. a guy like this is going to touch you here or there, but if he's got no power, he's giving you nothing to worry about, you can kind of be slack on defense. So if I'm top rank, I'm finding a guy out there that can take punches, that can go rounds, and is going to touch Zayas, but maybe doesn't have a lot of power, and just see if he can work on some of that stuff. Regarding Teo, yeah, dude, he is kind of cringe. And look, I don't want to get into a big political thing about religion here. I respect people's religious beliefs and whatever you believe, and your faith and all that is great. But some of the religious stuff, it started to get a little bit overzealous. It was just religious zealotry. And it's like, okay, dude, say a little piece on that and then kind of move on. But it kind of lingered for like over a minute, and it got a little uncomfortable. And then it just just a little cringe, not just the religious stuff. I'm just saying all of it. So some of that, just tighten it up a bit. Tighten it up a bit, Teo Jr. And let me see, there's another one from Sam. Thank you so much, Sam. He said, your son is a 30-1 favorite, and you told everybody. That's a great point, dude. That's a great point, Sam. Yeah, because Teo Sr. kept saying, I told you. Told what? You said this. I told everyone. Sam, I'm sure, bet and told everyone. I'm sure all of you out there that bet the fight, the odds makers, all top ranks matchmakers told everyone. Come on, dude, chill. Tim Sheedy with a good comment. He says, dude might be passionate, but it's all vicarious. Yeah, he's definitely living vicariously through his son. And it's so clear to see, right? I'm not hating, am I? I'm just stating what's obvious. Ruben says, 100% agree with you, Montero. Dad needs to settle down on the cocaine. Yeah, he did seem a little energetic. I'll just say that. Sam with another super chat. Thanks again, brother. Says Teo Sr. is a super nice guy, but he thinks his son is the best fighter that ever lived and can beat up anyone. Yeah, and look, I've only had a very brief interaction, but seemed very, very cool. You know, the Lopez family and all them, they seem very fucking cool, very laid back, just very nice, and actually very humble when the cameras are off. I do think some of it's played up for the cameras. I really do. I expected Dad to think his son's the best fighter in the world. I expect that. I ain't mad at that at all. I'm really not. You guys all have friends who are like, you know, my daughter is the best guitar player in the world. And then you go to their little guitar concert, and you're like, oh, shit. Who the hell's playing this guitar? Jesus Christ. Is it Helen Keller playing this guitar? Right? So, like, but you understand, you know, they're seeing her through a father's eyes. So I get that. But the jumping in front of the camera thing, dude, I can't forgive that. And what's funny is there are people out there somehow like trying to defend that. Like, oh, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Really? If somebody did that to your kid, you'd be pissed. If you guys had if your son played Little League Baseball or something, and he won an award at the end of the season, he was the MVP of the Little League World Series, and he walked up to get his award right when the announcer guy was announcing your son's name, when he was behind the podium to grab his award, his coach jumps in front of him. I told you. Yeah. And so like so loud that like you can't even hear your son's name being announced. You wouldn't be pissed about that? You wouldn't have some words for that coach later on? Because you'd be sitting there with your cell phone, like trying to record that, take a picture, right? And coach gets in front of him. Come on, man. You'd have something to say about that. Come on, guys. Okay, let's move on to this preview, because we got a loaded preview this week. Lots of fights, although I gotta say, I'm really only excited for one more than the rest, right? But everybody's jumping on and doing some events this weekend. So let's start here in America. Let's start on the West Coast, San Diego, California. ESPN, Emmanuel Navarrete, making his 2022 debut, has not fought yet this year. He is going to be fighting Eduardo Baez, and this will be the third defense of Navarrete's WBO featherweight title. So I mentioned Navarrete fighting for the first time this year. He fought 4 times in 2018, 4 times in 2019, 3 times during 2020, the year of the pandemic, right? Twice in 2021. That was the winter of death. We were all supposed to die, right? All right. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. And then his first fight of 2022. So things have slowed down in the Navarrete camp, which is cool. That's cool. As long as your level of opposition is staying up at the highest level. As for Baez, he was born in Mexico, lives in California now, has 2 losses. They were both decisions, and they were both close. All right. He lost to Mauricio Lara early on in his career, and it was a close fight. It was like a 6-rounder, maybe an 8-rounder, and it was like 5 rounds to 3, something like that. I can't remember if it was 6 or 8 rounds, but it was something like that, okay? And then he lost to Rais Salim. It was, I think, a majority decision loss. So no harm in either of those losses, right? So this guy has a couple losses, and a lot of you out there really overrate losses, and you think that they're the biggest, most important thing ever. But don't sleep on this, dude. Those losses were close, and this could be a competitive, fun fight. Also on this card, Giovanni Santillan, 29-0, 30 years old, went professional in 2012, and from San Diego, Southpaw. So he's going to have some hometown fans there for him. Going up against Mexican Julio Luna Avila, who's making his first fight outside of Mexico. For Santillan, this level of opponent, after you've been a pro for 10 years, kind of disappointing. I don't know what the plan is with this guy. I don't know what they're doing, but he's been a pro, I mentioned, since 2012, 10 years, 29 fights. This will be his 30th fight. He's 30 years old. We ever going to step this guy up or what? I don't know. So that's what ESPN is doing. Let's talk about Showtime in Hollywood, Florida, which is a suburb of Miami. And we got 3 fights of note here. I talked a little bit about the main event during the news and notes segment, but let's talk about these 2 undercard fights. Roger Gutierrez, 26-1 from Venezuela, going up against Hector Garcia, 15-0 southpaw from the Dominican Republic. And this is the second defense of Gutierrez's WBA Super 130-pound title. A completely worthless belt. Shit. The WBA, man. And there's another WBA title fight here. This one's even worse. Alberto Puello, 20-0, lives in Las Vegas now, originally from Dominican Republic, going up against Bortazan Akhmedev, 9-1, an Uzbekistan native who now lives and fights out of Los Angeles, 2016 Olympian. And this is for the vacant WBA Super 140-pound title. I think I got that right. Or maybe just the vacant WBA 140-pound title. I don't even know. I can't keep up with the WBA. But this was the belt that Gervonta Davis won off of Mario Barrios, who won it off of Akhmedev, who was robbed against Barrios back in 2019 on the Spence Porter undercard in LA. I was there. That was a complete ripoff. Barrios did not win that fight, but PBC and the matchmakers and everybody, Team Tank Davis, wanted to fight Barrios, and they thought this would be a way. If you guys don't think that they plan this stuff sometimes a couple years ahead, I'm not saying they plan it down to a T, but they know which direction they want to take their fighters. They have a plan A, B, and C. All these promotions do. And they saw down the line that Barrios is going to make them more money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he got that decision against Akhmedev, grabbed that piece of the WBA 140 belt, and then ultimately lost it to Tank Davis, who now has vacated it because he decides he's going to be at 135 permanently, at least for now. And then it's going to end up going ultimately to Akhmedev because I think he's going to win this fight. And it's just going to be kind of funny that 3 years after he gets ripped off, he gets the same worthless shit belt, because we all know the real champion at 140 pounds, of course, is Josh Taylor. So none of this shit really matters. It's just people passing around a worthless paper belt. They needed it to help market Gervonta Davis for a little while. Now they don't. So this Uzbek that got ripped off, hey, we're going to do you a solid and get you back this title. You see how this shit works? You want to know who owns the WBA? It's pretty clear which organization, which platform in America owns them. It's pretty damn obvious. And then the main event, Sergey Lipinets, talk about being owed a solid. He's brought in to fight Omar Figueroa Jr. And look, I think Lipinets can win this fight. However, it's going to be competitive. It's going to be very competitive. It actually, style-wise, will be a good fight. I actually think it might end up being better than Figueroa and Broner would have been, because with Broner, you don't know what you're going to get. He can stink out the joint at times, and you just don't know. So, this fun little card, and the ESPN card's a fun little card, but none of them can compare to what we're getting in Saudi Arabia, right? We're getting an incredible heavyweight fight. And, I told you earlier, I said, is Usyk versus Joshua the rematch? Is it the biggest fight of this year to date? I'm not talking about all the fights coming after this. I'm talking about to date. And most of you said yes, but there was a handful of you that said no. And some of you gave legitimate responses. One of you said Charlo Castaño 2, you thought was bigger. Okay, that's fair. I disagree with you, but in America, you said it was bigger. Okay. And then one of you said Taylor Serrano was bigger. Well, from a historical standpoint, all right, I take it back. They said historical standpoint because of Charlo Castaño 2, because it was undisputed. And then somebody said historical standpoint, Taylor Serrano. They were bigger fights. That's fair. I can accept that. Again, I don't totally agree with that, but it's fair. But some of you are just shit talking, and I don't understand why anybody would shit talk this fight coming up in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It's everything that you guys should want to see, other than complete undisputed, of course. But we all know who's been holding that up. Anyway, let's talk about this. Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, it's Matchroom Boxing on DAZN. Again, I ask, would you guys like to see a live fight party? Would you like me to do a party on my channel where we just watch the fight together, maybe do a little commentary, do some Q&A, and just talk about it? Or would you rather me just do like an immediate reaction video right after the fight? I can go live right after, and we can talk about it. Which one sounds better to you? Would you rather go live during the fight itself, or do a live immediate reaction video just after the fight? Let me know, all right? And once again, I got to show this. For those of you who are just tuning in, check out my Oleksander Usyk jersey. Oh, yeah, I got this when I was in Chicago covering his fight with Witherspoon. This is my Oleksander Usyk swag. And yes, I'm going to be rocking this Saturday. I got to. All right, let's start with the undercard. All right, some interesting fights on this undercard. Badu Jack, his third fight at cruiserweight, going up against a Connecticut native, Richard Rivera, who's 21-0, but has fought absolutely nobody. So don't get it twisted. Jack is heavily favored in this fight and should be. And I don't know what he's going to do at cruiserweight. His run so far has been against fairly weak opposition, but we'll see. Maybe at some point he works his way into a title shot, and it might be interesting. Also, Callum Smith, his second fight at light heavyweight. He is fighting Frenchman Mathieu Baudelier. I don't know if that's how you say it. I'm just having some fun. And that's going to be his first fight outside of France. So obviously Smith, huge favorite here. The Frenchman is experienced, but he's never fought anybody on this level. This is somehow a WBC eliminator at light heavyweight. I expect Smith to win this fight big and probably score another big stoppage. And then the co-main heavyweights, Filip Hrgović, 14-0 from Croatia, going up against Zhale Zhang, 24-0-1 out of China. This is an IBF heavyweight eliminator. So the winner of this fight at some point will be in line to face the winner of the Usyk-Joshua rematch. So this fight has direct implications against the winner of the main event. I love when you get two fights that have implications with each other on the same card. That's always fun. That's what we call a build, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of like what the WWE does. All right, main event time. Oleksander Usyk, 19-0, fighting Anthony Joshua, who is 24-2. This is for the WBO, WBA, IBF, and Ring Magazine heavyweight championship belts. Their first bout was last September 25th. Usyk won that fight by unanimous decision. I felt it was about an 8 rounds to 4 kind of a fight. You can make an argument 9 rounds to 3. That's fine. But there are people out there that act like that fight was a complete beating that Usyk put on Joshua, or that it was this dominant shutout or something. Absolutely not. It was a competitive fight. Usyk controlled it. Joshua had some moments, particularly in a couple of the early rounds, but especially the middle rounds. He had a little bit of a surge. And there was one round, I've talked about this before, where he, I can never remember the exact round. I'm going to have to go back and watch the first fight this week to pump myself up, but just to remind myself of exactly what happened. But there's one round later in the fight that Joshua did put a good amount of leather on Usyk, and he had to really kind of collect himself. If you look at Usyk's body language, and he did, and he responded and came back and won the next round big. And then in the closing seconds, it appeared that he had Joshua buzzed, maybe hurt, not badly, but wobbled. Joshua was mostly just fatigued. And it almost appeared like, hey, man, he might drop him here, you know? So a lot of people are taking that into, you're keeping that in mind, the way that fight ended, I think, going into this rematch. I think the mistake a lot of people are making is that they're forgetting this is a completely different fight. And I think we're going to see different versions, especially of Joshua, but in some ways we're going to see different versions of both fighters. Already both fighters look different physically. Usyk looks bulkier. He actually looks more muscular than he was for the first fight. Nothing is being done just because. Everything that these guys do is calculated. So I think Usyk's team, one of two things. Either expects Joshua to try to muscle them and get physical early, and they want to be ready for that, or they're gunning for a knockout because they feel something might be up with the cards, and they're gunning for a knockout. So that's what I see over there. Joshua looks like he's slimmer. I don't know if that helps him. Honestly, I really don't. I always think, Joshua's way too muscular to be a boxer, way too muscular. And that hurts his stamina big time because he can only fight in bursts. Heavyweight boxing is fighting in bursts. I understand that. Like the pace of heavyweight boxing is slow, right? But Usyk isn't a heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight. He's a guy that is naturally a 200-pound fighter and moves up to fight bigger men. Thus, his pacing is going to be faster than the average heavyweight. Joshua, it is up to Joshua to force Usyk to fight at his pace. The only way you can do that is to get physical. Derek Chisora had moments of success doing that with Usyk. He really did. Usyk was still getting used to the heavyweight body and dealing with a heavyweight. And Chisora is a guy who likes to get on the inside and get physical. He's another guy, though, that tires out and he has stamina issues, right? Even more than Joshua. But he's also nastier. Chisora is a nastier, got more dog in him kind of a fighter. And don't get me wrong, Joshua does have some dog in him. He wears it differently. And I think a lot of American fans underrate the level of dog that Joshua has in him because he's had fighters hurt before and he's stopped them, right? He has shown that he can finish. He doesn't do it consistently. Klitschko changed him. After that Klitschko fight, he hasn't quite been the same guy, right? We've seen that. But he does have the ability to hurt Usyk and stop Usyk in this fight, particularly in the early rounds. The more rounds this fight goes, the more it benefits Usyk. So if you're Joshua, who is with a trainer now, Robert Garcia, who trains fighters to be aggressive, do you even go for the decision? Or do you try to hurt this guy early and get him out of there? Or is the game plan to get in there and hurt him early, get your respect, maybe drop him, maybe get a cut on him, get some bruising on his face and some cuts, and then pull back in the middle rounds and start boxing? and then close strong and go for the decision. A lot of different ways this thing can go. I gotta bring this up, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You guys know that. But there's just this ominous feeling in the air this week that I just got this gut feel that there might be some fuckery afoot. I hope I'm wrong here. But I've received some info, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's heard this, that ESPN made a bid to get this fight and broadcast it in the United States. Why would ESPN and Top Rank do that? They don't represent either of these fighters. Why? Now, maybe what I've heard was complete bullshit. Maybe. But I'm going to take my sources at their word. If ESPN made a bid on this, why would they do that? Which heavyweight do they represent? Tyson Fury, the guy who just announced his retirement literally days before this fight. I think we all know that if Anthony Joshua were to beat Oleksander Usyk, Fury's going to come out of retirement in 3 seconds and fight him. If Usyk wins, Fury ain't going near him. He'll duck Usyk forever. So why would Top Rank make a bid? Unless they have a strong feeling, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that Joshua's going to win this fight on the scorecards. And they could get their boy, Tyson Fury, against Anthony Joshua in a big, big fight next year. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying that, combined with the fact that DAZN didn't even announce they were broadcasting this fight, officially didn't announce it until what, yesterday? Less than a week out from the fight. This is one of the biggest events of the year for DAZN. And they didn't announce their broadcasting platform here in the States until 6 days before the fight. That feels weird. Jeddah, Saudi Arabia feels weird. This fight was postponed a little bit from its original date. That feels weird. I'm just saying, there's plenty of little pieces there. Now, it's one of two things. Either I've just been around this game too long and I've seen the way these things get set up and I'm just a jaded motherfucker. Or I have big fight jitters just as a fan. And, you know, heavyweight fights, I make no bones about it. They get me hyped up more than anything else. And this is the heavyweight fight between the top two heavyweights that in the world right now. And don't give me Deontay Wilder and don't give me Tyson Fury because he's officially retired as of now. And there's nobody else yet. So this is the two top heavyweights, and there's a lot at stake in this fight. Again, if Joshua wins, we get Fury Joshua early next year. Possibly Wilder Joshua early next year. Because Wilder will probably have the WBC belt by then. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If Usyk wins, it'll piss off the American broadcasters and the business because they don't want him to win. But if he wins, he's 20-0, and he's got one of the best resumes of any heavyweight 20 fights in the history of the sport. I don't think that's hyperbole. He'd be one title belt away from completely undisputed in two weight classes, cruiserweight and heavyweight. The only guy who's ever done that previously was Evander Holyfield, and he needed a little help. So for Usyk to do something like that in this age, in this era, in a much better cruiserweight division than Holyfield fought in, that would be just unprecedented. And to do that within 21, 22 fights as well, that would be huge. So there are just huge, huge ramifications for this fight going forward. I just got that feeling, and I can't decide. Am I really feeling like fuckery's afoot, or do I just have big heavyweight fight jitters? Maybe it's a little bit of both. What else? I think that's about it, man. So for my money, once again, I need to say, I think if I'm in Joshua's corner, I don't ever think it's smart to go out in a 12-round fight and try to get the knockout early. I think that's a dumb strategy, even in heavyweight. But I do think they should come out and try to be physical. That doesn't mean throwing 100 punches in a round. It means getting inside on Usyk and getting rough, using your forearms, getting a little dirty, a little bit of Andre Ward action, a little bit of Bernard Hopkins action, a little bit of Muhammad Ali action, one of the dirtiest heavyweight champions ever in terms of how he fought. I'm just keeping it real. A little bit of that, because you know you're going to get away with it. Make the ref say something. But if he can tire Usyk out a little bit, if he can bust his face up a little bit, even whether it's off a punch or an accidental forearm while you're punching, something like that to scratch and bust Usyk up a bit, and maybe put some body punches together when you got him inside and you're muscling him, create separation with that forearm, bam, go to the body, shoot an uppercut. Joshua has a beautiful right uppercut, and you could create separation with that left hand, especially on a southpaw, and shoot that uppercut sideways. You could get some work done. And then in the middle rounds, pull back a little bit and start boxing, and then a hard charge in the last 3 or 4 rounds. That is the way I would strategize things for Joshua. With Usyk, I think it's pretty simple. I think you kind of got to do what you did in the first fight, but more of it. You have to be even better than that. You have to, at times, sit in the pocket just a little bit more, particularly in the middle of the ring. Stay off the ropes. Get Joshua on the ropes, no problem. But in the middle of the ring, stay in that pocket just a little bit longer and get 1 or 2 more shots in. If Usyk can work the body and slow Joshua down a bit and take some steam off of his punches and some air out of his lungs, I think Usyk should really, really, really press for the knockout in the championship rounds. He should make an attempt to put Joshua down so where the judges can't rip you off. Don't think about the judges. Keep that out of your mind. The judges gave you the fight the first time around. So, but you got to do more, because people shouldn't have memories when they score fights, but they do. And if the fight looks the same as it did last September, or Joshua does a little bit better, even if the fight should still be 115, 113 Usyk, judges will come in with that memory, and they might flip the script a little bit. We could possibly end up in a situation sort of like the Canelo-Golovkin rematch. Now, obviously, these fighters don't fight with the same styles, but Canelo looks so much better in that rematch, so much different. And Golovkin changed roles from being the stalker to the boxer, that I think it got in people's heads a little bit in terms of how they scored that fight. That could happen here. People could come in with their memories of the first fight and how they score this fight. So anyway, that's the way I see it. Let's, I got a bunch of super chats here. If you guys want to get on the phones now, this is the time. Let me see here. Make sure I didn't miss any. There's a bunch of them here. There we go. Papa Chubby. Chad, what's up, man? Thank you so much for the super chat. It says, Mike hates on Wilder, PBC, and now Jesus too. Oh, that's coming, dude. I'm not hating on Jesus or Allah or Buddha or Zeus, whoever you pray to. I'm just saying, some of Teofimo Lopez's rhetoric got bordered on religious zealotry, just a little bit over the top for a boxing broadcast. Could have pulled that back in just a little bit. That's all I'm saying. I absolutely 100% respect everybody's right to have whatever faith they have. Sam with another super chat. Thank you, Sam. He says, Nav has hand issues. Maybe that's why the break. Yeah, that's a good point, Sam, that I forgot about. Navarrete's had, injuries and stuff this year. So I expect him to get busy again after this. Again, the thing that impressed me the most with him is he fought 3 times in 2020. Nobody fought 3 times. A lot of guys didn't even fight once in 2020, including Golovkin, for example. So for Navarrete to fight 3 times, that was impressive. But he only fought twice last year, and I really don't want Top Rank to turn him into another twice-a-year fighter. And it just looks like now they're settling into that pace with him. Maybe because the pay scale went up. That's what happens. When these guys get more money, they can't fight as often if their guarantee goes up. So I'm not sure how all that looks because I'm not in the boardroom when they're signing those contracts. Let's see. Brad DW54 with the super chat. Thank you, Brad. He says, what a world. Biggest heavyweight fight of the year, not pay-per-view. Almost every other fight this year is pay-per-view. That's true, brother. Although it is pay-per-view for people in certain parts of the world. For people in the UK, they are paying pay-per-view for this fight. But I think it's absolutely a pay-per-view fight over there, right? I mean, Anthony Joshua is the most famous, not only the most famous boxer, but perhaps the most famous athlete and one of the most famous people in all of England. So it makes sense. And you guys don't get gouged over there. We get $80. You guys pay like, what, 25 pounds, 30 pounds? So... Super chat from Brian Rendon. Thank you, Brian. Says, hi, Mike. Love the show. Mondays are always great at 5 p.m. Every week, I look forward to your top two callers, Nacho and Thad, input. Keep crushing it, MLB squad. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate it, man. CJ Duncan in the house. CJ with the super chat. Thank you, CJ. CJ, by the way, can I announce anything related to your what you got going on, or is that because I've seen you've made some social media posts, so I don't know if we can talk about it here or not. If not, I ain't gonna say shit. Just let me know. Anyway, thank you. He says Fury's visa issues make it Joshua or retirement. Salute to MLB crew. Smash that like button. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So I didn't even realize. Now I knew Tommy Fury had visa issues. I didn't know Tyson did. Which is crazy that Tyson Fury would have visa issues. Interesting. All the money that dude's got, you figure you could buy his way out of that. That's usually how these things work. Sam with the super chat. Thanks again, Sam. He says, Wilder versus Helenius, October 15 in the works, New York. Yes, sir. I talked about that a little bit on my Friday show. That's going to be Fox pay-per-view, by the way. That's going to be $80. You know how I was just talking about the gouging thing, American fans? Yeah, there you go. Yet, there are people defending that shit. Crazy. Wilder versus Helenius, $80 pay-per-view. That's nutty. That's nutty like a ball bag. I don't get it. But people out there will defend it. The same people who defend it with so much vigor, they're the very same ones who will stream it for free illegally. You know how that shit works. And Anthony Santiago with another super chat. Thanks, Ant. He says, Usyk TKO round 10. Usyk can't let it go to the scorecards. # team conspiracy. Dude, that's the way I kind of see it, man. My official prediction is Usyk by decision. By the way, I think 20 of us at Ring Magazine, and then there's like, I think there's like 10 of us at Ring, and then like 10 insiders. We talk to trainers, fighters, whoever, and get their predictions. That article should be posted this week with all of our predictions. My official prediction on the official prediction post is Usyk by decision, but he could certainly get the stoppage late, especially if Joshua starts really fast and goes for the knockout early and doesn't get it. Think back to Joshua's fight with Vlad. Vlad was 40, coming off with a 2+ year layoff, something like that, right? And Joshua started fast, dropped Vlad. Vlad was able to survive it, and then Joshua was kind of out of gas for a little while. And Klitschko dropped him hard, and Joshua was really hurt. He's never been hurt like that either before or since. And I'm including the Andy Ruiz knockout in that. Yes. One punch has never hurt Joshua as much as that right hand from Vlad. It changed him as a fighter. But Vlad didn't have the stamina to capitalize on that, right? He was 40 years old. Usyk does. Usyk does. So if Joshua shoots his wad early, Usyk will have an opportunity late to get that stoppage. 1 foot out the door. Thank you for the super chat. He says, the truth hurts. That's why they're mad. Isn't that always the way it works? The truth does hurt, and that's why they stay mad. Oh, CJ again says, MTK issues are going to make Fury's next fight tough to nail down outside of the UK. All good to talk about. # Team Dad, my brother. Salute. Thank you so much, CJ. Yeah, CJ and his beautiful wife are expecting a baby boy. So that's awesome that we're going to have a little girl. The Duncans are going to have a little boy. Pretty damn cool, man. Pretty damn cool. I'm happy for you guys, CJ. Happy, happy, happy. All right, let's jump to these phones, shall we? I think we're all caught up. Couster says, Michael Q. Montero. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm really not. I promise. We got Thad on the line, so let's get Thad and see how he's betting this one. What is up, Thad? How you doing, brother?
Oh, absolutely, man. And information is a plethora this week. And I'm glad I didn't call in Friday because I got a lot of info from the weekend, including my guy in Vegas. And he's really high up the chain in the bookmaking industry.
All right.
And he told me, I mean, without saying on the record, that I wouldn't be betting Usyk by decision. And it's a long shot for AJ to win by decision, but that's his bet. He thinks there's something funny going on up in Saudi Arabia or wherever they're fighting.
So he's saying
if it does go to the cards,
he's saying bet AJ by decision.
Yeah, he at his book they're a little sharper and he's a little bit more wiggle room. I'm not going to say where, but they're taking a side on that where they're putting it at lower odds for AJ to win by decision. Overall, it's like between plus 750 or plus 700, where you can find pretty much anywhere. They're taking a side in the book for like plus 600. So they're a lot lower odds, but it's big odds for AJ to win by decision. Nobody expects it. That's why it's plausible that it happens. And with Usyk's team, I think they're a little wiser now after seeing Golovkin get screwed over, in the Canelo fights and Kovalev getting screwed over in the Ward fights and Lomachenko. So, what happened there with him with Teo? I mean, Teo, he won the fight because Lomachenko didn't do anything in the early going. Mm-hmm. And I might say that it was Joey Gamache who made that game plan. That wasn't his father.
Oh, good
father.
point.
That was
good
Joey
point.
Gamache.
You've mentioned that before, and I completely forgot that point.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me on that. You're totally right.
There was another guy from England that calls in your show. He also mentioned that Gamache deserved credit, and he never got it. So, if he's listening, would like to hear him call in sometime too. But the bottom line is with the Usyk team, they're going to come in around 230. I look at Usyk. You put on weight quick. I don't know if that's such a good thing, but he's going to be a little bulkier, like you said. He's not going to be that much bulkier, 230. But the one thing people don't realize is this guy's character, is his pedigree. He's a lot better fighter than I even thought he was. Watching his past fights, dealing with the likes of Artur Beterbiev in the amateurs and Joe Joyce in the amateurs, this guy could adjust on the fly. And AJ could clip him early. And that's why I like a prop bet of Usyk going down in the early rounds and then Usyk winning at the end by knockout. It's going to pay pretty well. You could just take it straight up plus 500. But if Usyk wins by knockout, it goes up a little higher, about plus 850. So if you could play around with the odds, look around, that's something you can get value with. Especially in parlays. But as it stands right now, and last week, Monday, I gave you the wrong odds, and I apologize for that. Your callers, I was way off on the lines. I was looking at something completely different, and they were much wider. Usyk was plus 500 to knock out AJ in the later rounds. That's what I like. That's what I'm favoring. And then AJ was plus 550 to knock out, or plus 600 to knock out Usyk early in the first 6 rounds. So with the way things are going, I do like Usyk late, but if somehow AJ, does some damage early and Usyk, for whatever reason, is a little off and that fight goes a distance, there's no way in hell Usyk's getting that decision in that country. There's too much money to be made. The establishment wants AJ in the worst way. Everybody knows it too. This is like the worst kept secret. I've seen guys coming out of the woodwork just adding their 2 cents on this, that, they're behind the scenes, old heads, they got a lot invested and they never come out of the woodwork, but they're all kind of on that same path where, AJ he's the focal point here. So, I can't tell you how the fight's going to go strategically, but I will say this: AJ can't fight southpaws. He's not smart enough to adjust. And that area of space inside where Usyk will have his head, AJ cannot line him up for his best punch, which is a right uppercut. His head is always out of line. If somehow he could develop a left uppercut, he could land that. But that southpaw stance in this fight is so important. And AJ, he acknowledged it even. He kind of let things slide like, hey, it's hard to fight a southpaw. For a heavyweight that can move and has great footwork, it's almost impossible. So keep that in mind. If he cannot land that uppercut, he's got no chance. He gets stopped. I think around round 8, round 9, and then you can go as late as 10. That's my pick to take Usyk, but my God, if somehow AJ, survives the distance, it's a decision win for him. And there's always that chance he could catch Usyk cold. Or even something else that I was, alluding to. He can get muscled early, elbowed, pushed down, fake knockdowns. Referees that are going to count knockdowns that weren't knockdowns. Anything to favor Anthony Joshua is in play here, including headbutts, cuts, behind the neck punching. Rabbit punching is huge for AJ here. He's done it before in a lot of fights, and I don't think he got away with it in the last fight versus Usyk. But who knows what they're going to be strategizing over in Jeddah. But look out for those type of disqualification techniques that don't get called. I just have a really bad feeling, like you do, that we're going to, at the end of the night, going to feel really, really cheated. If you're on the side of Usyk. And I know I said that in the first fight, that Usyk would outbox AJ. He did. And he got the decision because he won 9 rounds. But if Usyk, for whatever reason, wins 7 rounds, I mean, this is an easy AJ decision. He's got to put the leather on AJ and stop him, or at least win 9 rounds again, or 10. So the illusion of a fight fix cannot even come out, because that'll tarnish the AJ fight against Fury. They want this as legit as possible. Everything speaks to, hijinks. So Usyk is that good a fighter where he gets the job done and knocks out AJ in spite of everybody not wanting him to win. And you brought up a good point about the establishment, about Usyk's record and being like one of only, 1 or 2 people in the history of boxing to do what he's done, in such a short time. That's a big play too. For whatever reason, they don't want an Eastern European to have that, type of cachet. So Usyk and his team, they know it. I'm giving them props. They're looking to take the fight to him and get a knockout. They're not naive like Golovkin's people to think they're going to get a decision against Canelo.
Yeah, Triple G's people
definitely not casting.
Triple G's people. I'm glad you brought that up because they were naive. I've mentioned this on the show before, but I talked to Tom, I talked to Abel, I talked to Golovkin himself before that first fight, and I asked them all individually, "Can you get a decision in Vegas?" So they all said, "Yeah, we're good. We don't care who the judges are." Blah blah blah. And you saw what happened. I think Usyk's people cannot be naive here, and again, they can't go in with a loaded mindset. They got to focus just on the fight itself. But I agree with you in terms of game plan. Go for that late knockout if you can. Step it up and throw some power punches and try to get him out of there late. Don't go for it early, but go for it late. I agree.
And that's his wheelhouse. Usyk in training or in sparring, Vladimir Klitschko picked him out of camp because he was showing him up. He was just moving and he was tiring Vlad out. Vlad couldn't land a glove on him. Vlad couldn't do anything and he was getting picked apart. That's what Usyk does. He wears you down. It's like the grind, the mind game as well. And that's his best ally here, is to let AJ kind of, throw his load early, weather it, lose maybe 3 or 4 rounds early, and then pour it on. As soon as AJ starts gassing, like he does in the 6th round of every fight, that's when you step on the gas and you make sure you get him out of there. Because what AJ does is after he gasses, he gets that second wind again around the 9th, 10th round, and he's done it against Vlad Klitschko where Vlad had him all but out, like you said. The hardest punch ever landed on AJ was from Vladimir. He just couldn't follow it up. Vlad's corner screwed him in that fight.
Vlad's corner, including
Vitaly.
Time. It was Vitaly who told him to calm down and box. And I'm like, Vitaly, why are you saying that?
Right.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That was absolutely asinine. Cost him the fight. And AJ had that recuperative power.
Vlad could have jumped on him in the 2 or 3 rounds after that and absolutely ended that fight.
Yeah.
If I'm Vlad, I'm still pissed at Vitaly for that shit. I'm still mad at Vitaly.
Yeah. And when I was watching it live, and people were just like, I was saying, I can't believe he's not going for the finish here. I cannot believe it. And, backfire. But AJ could recover after he gasses. 3 rounds it takes for him to get his second wind. I'm going to talk about that another day and why that is with his musculature and structure.
It doesn't look right. But I know that much.
Well, a key indicator is always the gut. The weigh-in's going to show a lot. If AJ weighs in about 240, but he has that puffed out gut, then you know something's up. Like when he fought Fury, the third time, he was all top heavy. He had all that muscle, all those the trapezius muscle was bulging out, and that gut. That gut, when it bulges out, that's from insulin. And when you have an overload of insulin, it's one of 2 things. You're taking what diabetics take, or you're actually using PEDs, specifically HGH. HGH is undetectable. I don't care what anybody says about isotopes and decay. You can't detect it unless you test for it that day or 2 when they're taking it. Okay, the half-life is so short. But obviously, it wouldn't have helped AJ in the first fight. It didn't help Wilder in the rematch with Fury, although it did give him more size. Mm-hmm. But overall, I don't think it really comes into play here. It's really going to come down to if Usyk is an all-time great heavyweight, not a great cruiserweight, heavyweight. If he wins this fight with AJ coming in at his very best, which it seems he is, then he's an all-time great. If AJ stops him or gets the decision, I mean, you could, with the decision, we all know how that goes. Usyk could still be the guy he is. Usyk has to be a step better to win this fight. He can't. If he fights the same fight as last time, he will lose. They made adjustments, and the officials are going to be against them. And I think they know it. Like I said, they're not naive going into this. So I'm betting Usyk to stop him late, plus 500. That's from 6 to 12, or around 7 to 12. And if you're betting the round, you'll get about plus 2,500, plus 2,800, plus 3,000 if you're betting round 8, 9, and 10. Right in the middle is where the lowest odds are. Okay, that's where Vegas thinks if Usyk's going to have the best chance of knocking him out, it's going to be round 8. And then it drops a little bit in round 9, and then it goes a little lower, 10, and then 11 and 12, there's virtually no chance according to their odds. But Usyk's best odds are around 7, 8, 9. And AJ, his best odds are about 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
So if you want to, handicap the fight, you got to look at how they're handicapping this. To go the distance, it's about.
Thad, can I ask?
Go ahead.
How are you betting the other heavyweight fight with Hrgović and Zhang? That's going to be Hrgović by knockout, right? It's mid-rounds knockout.
I like Hrgović fight. I think it's a showcase. I like him by 3 or 4. He right now is favored to knock out Big Bang Zhang, and that is 3 to 1 if you're betting the knockout. So you have to put up 100 or 300 to win 100. Okay, but if you're taking them straight, now the odds went up. You have to put up 1,100 to win 100 if you're betting Hrgović.
So bet the knockout.
So it's it's a safe play because Big Bang Zhang, big, stiff, strong, powerful, but a little chinny. He got stunned by a smaller heavyweight. I forget his name.
Is it Jerry Forrest in that fight?
Would know them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I like Jerry. Jerry's a cool guy. Yeah. A lot of people thought Jerry won that fight.
Yeah. And I did too. And actually, Jerry screwed me in the next fight against Pulev. So he basically didn't show up, and Pulev wiped him. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That guy cost me a parlay that would have, put me in riches for at least a couple of years. So, it is what it is. And, if you're looking to, do the parlays this week, another Akhmedov, he, like you said, he got screwed over in the Barrios fight. I love him in this situation. He's only minus 250. So he's a small favorite. You can make some money there.
Okay.
Yeah, against the Dominican, who really doesn't have a strong resume. He's got a light record. You know, has all the signs of PBC, you know, paying him back for taking the loss against Barrios. So
that's how I see it.
Another thing about PBC with Broner. Yeah, they had that all set up with Lipinets ready to jump in. I think they knew about that before the weekend, because all of a sudden I saw Lipinets pop up on the screen for, you know, fighting some guy I never heard of. So they moved him in. It's going to be interesting to see what the odds are for that fight now against Figueroa. So who I might add, he ripped into Adrian Broner, as right he should, about the mental health issue. Yeah, so if you want to get into that at some point, you know, next week, you know, feel free, because Broner thinks he's a Hall of Famer.
We'll talk about it Friday.
Yeah.
But I gotta move on, man. You've been on for 15, but
Mike. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike, and I'm going to hold off calling Friday. But if there is something important, I will chime in, and only for like a minute, okay? Because I want to hear these other guys call in, talk your stuff, and get going. Thanks, Mike. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Thad. Yeah, I know, guys. As I said earlier, we got to make the calls quick. But you know, the thing with Thad's calls is, you know, he gives a lot of great betting advice, and I know a lot of you guys out there love to bet on the fights. So I just wanted to get his takes on some of the odds and stuff like that. So. Because Thad does pretty well in Vegas. As Chris Bergen in the chat says, though, the house usually wins, so bet responsibly, people. But Thad is one of those guys that does pretty well. CJ Junkin says, I was wondering why my abs were extending out. That might be a different reason, CJ. If I could give you any advice, brother, because I'm a little further along in the pregnant wife process than you are. When you go out with the pregnant wife, she's going to eat everything. You got to have portion control, bro, because it's been hard for me to cut weight for these fights in my training. And she's going to want to get those sweets and those snacks. So, yeah, you don't want your abs extending for that reason. You definitely don't want that. So, yeah, watch the extra cake snacks and all that stuff. All right. Let's see. We got Jack. Jack called in again. All right. Let's get Jack on the line. Jack, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Bro, you got to plug. I was first, bro. You told me
you were first, but
you
hold on. You were first, but you hung up, and then Thad called in, and then you called in after Thad. So you were after the queue. Thad was before you in the queue, bro. I don't ever skip. I don't do that shit.
I'm still first, though. Whatever. I'm not this bad dude. He's the most. He's the most biased. Dude, it's funny, though, because it's like me, like, completely – it's like what I would be like if I totally disregarded everyone else's, like, opinion. He's just like, yeah, he's on steroids. But, like, he's like, there's no question. He's like, yeah, Errol Spence, he looked good, but, you know, he's always on I think he's on something. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like, dude, not everything is about that. Like, whatchamacallit? And another thing, and Thad, I like you, man, but you gotta chill, dude. It made me laugh really hard because he was like, even if Usyk wins all 12 rounds, he's not getting a decision. Boxing doesn't work like that. If you clearly win a fight like Bivol did with Canelo, they have to give it to you. Do they not? The judges have to give it to you.
I've seen it go against some guys who clearly won fights, man. I mean, it does happen, but I just, you know,
I mean, like, dominate.
I've actually seen some fighters dominate a fight and get screwed. Damn, what was the one fight? Shit. There's one that stands out. I can't think of it right now. Damn it. But there have been fights where you saw a guy win literally 10, 11, 12 rounds and get robbed. I've seen it. That can't happen in this fight. I mean, if Usyk wins 10 rounds to 2, he'll get the decision. But I mean, hey man, you brought up Canelo Bivol. One of those cards was like 115, 113, wasn't it?
All of them were.
Yeah, there you go. And that dude, Bivol won 10 rounds of that fight. So they were trying to fuck him. He just, look, man, if Usyk's got to win at least 9 rounds of this fight, I'm with that on that. because I thought he won 8-9 rounds in that first fight easily. And one of the judges, I think, had it 115, 113.
I mean, yeah, there's fights. Let me think, like Whitaker, Chavez.
Oh, that was absolute robbery. Yeah.
The first Bradley, the first, whatchamacallit?
Bradley Pacquiao fight.
Pacquiao fight. Yeah, that one was very bad. But he's saying there's no possible way he can win a decision. There is a possible way he can win a decision.
Yeah, I agree with that. No, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that.
Because the first one, the cards were a little too close, and they gave it to him. They gave it to Usyk. And, you know, I was telling everyone for years Usyk would beat Joshua. Dude, this fight's pretty 50-50 in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Does that surprise you that I'm saying that? Because I always said Usyk would win the first one.
Well, okay. Yeah. Well, because you were adamant about it, and you were right. But what changed your mind? What is it now that makes you see this as a 50-50 fight?
Well, the first time, and I tried convincing you this. Also, there's a nude HD XYZ in the chat spamming. You might want to.
Oh, really?
Oh my God!
Oh, there it is. Boom. All
typing.
right. Block user.
They won't stop typing.
Jesus.
Bro, geez.
It's not me. It's Ring's channel, so I don't know what's going on. It's not me.
Yeah. Hey guys, nude HD. No, but what changed my mind is, you know, you always said the size difference be a big factor in the first fight. I said, if you're able to handle Derek Chisora, who's a monster and an extremely underrated fighter and a big boy, a hard puncher, a really scary dude, you can handle anyone in the heavyweight division. If you can, what's that? Withstand or weather the storm that is Derek
Chisora.
Chisora
Is a physical dude.
Could,
He's a physical guy, the way he fights.
Exactly. It's like fighting Fury. It's really not, but I mean the physical strength part. If you can hang in with Chisora, you can hang in with any heavyweight due to just physical strength. And that's why I said I think he'll beat Joshua, because Joshua's going to try to box, because that's who Joshua is. But now I said, okay, if Joshua gets a little reckless and just goes to the knockout here, he could win, because he look at the adjustments he made in the rematch with Ruiz. And, you know, people really disrespect AJ, and I hate to see it. Like, they're like, he's chinny. It's like, okay, he may be a little bit chinny, but he has amazing boxing skills. He's good in every aspect. And people just hate the dude.
It's weird. He gets a lot of hate, but he's a pretty good fighter. He really is a pretty good fighter.
Yeah. So I made a bet with my friend that the fight is not going to distance. And I think that's kind of like a 50-50 bet. Would you agree? Like, it kind of can go either way. Like, this fight could end.
Both guys could get a knockout in this fight. Both guys.
So is that a safe bet? I'm betting $20 that a knockout's going to happen.
So it's either guy knockout?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a safe bet. I mean, you're basically betting the under. I think that's a safe bet. It could happen.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, my friend goes all the way. Dude, Chris just said if Triple G made Jack his social media handle, I reckon Jack could make Triple G more popular in the USA. Bro, what's with Chris talking all this Triple G shit? Let me tell you something. And because this fight's coming up, no, I could.
Chris had one earlier. Chris said, no way, Jack has gone 30 seconds without talking about Triple G. Chris is on fire today, Jack. You gonna take that shit? You're gonna take that?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. When Triple G knocks out Canelo in the trilogy, we'll see who keeps talking shit. You'll be like, everyone else will be like, dude, this is the greatest fighter of all time. We'll be like, I told all of you, best jab of all time, best chin of all time, best offense of all time. Yeah, but anyways, I'm not gonna talk about Triple G because I wanted to talk about AJ Usyk. It's gonna be a great fight. The Hrgovic Zhang fight, I definitely want to think that it won't last long at all, and I'm definitely picking Hrgovic. For some reason, I kind of have this sadistic thing in me that I think Zhang is kind of limited, and I just want to see him go to sleep because he's so big. It's kind of cool to see a guy that big fall down. You know?
Yeah.
Because when does that happen?
You know, you're probably too young to remember a fighter named Ty Fields. I know him, but he's only 6'6". He's only 6'6". Yeah, he got dropped hard. Who the hell knocked him out? It might have been Monty Barrett. Knocked him.
Yeah, it was
flat out.
Oh, 6'8".
Yeah,
6'8",
it just
you're
seeing
right.
a 6'8" man smash into the canvas. I mean, it was kind of crazy. It's just crazy. But yeah, Zhang is bigger. He's heavier than he was.
Yeah. Then I wanted to cover the Fury situation. Dude, Fury is, I hate that dude so much. And I know you're supposed to keep things neutral, but I got a feeling you don't like him at all either, because the dude's absolutely delusional and he's only fighting the dude. Because I think, and I told everyone this in the first place, if they fight Usyk and Fury, you know who wins. Usyk does.
Usyk wins that fight.
I don't care. If you can handle, what's that?
Usyk wins that fight. I agree with you.
Yeah. And because the thing is, Joshua's a better boxer and styles make fights. Joshua's a better boxer than Fury, and he hits harder, and Fury just gets hit way too much. So it's and he just talks all this shit like, I don't need to fight Usyk. I'm like, yes, you do. If you want to be considered good, and he talks all this shit, he's like a middleweight. I'll be like, yeah, maybe so, but he'll still beat the shit out of you. He's talking all this trash like Usyk's like a nobody, a no name. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
He says a lot of dumb shit, bro. I stopped paying attention to anything that dude says a long time ago.
Yeah, man. All right. Pork chop time. Let's go.
Pork chop. It's
right,
pork
Mike.
chop night in Jack's house.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir. All right, Mike. You know he's on steroids, though. That's my thad impression.
That's your thad impression.
He's on TV.
Everyone's talking shit today. We got the MLB crew is just going back and forth. But hey, it's all in love, right? It's all in love, guys. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, go enjoy your pork chops. Now, hold on. Let me ask you this, Jack. I got to ask you one thing.
What?
Do you put applesauce on your pork chops?
No, but now that you say that, I might do that.
No, don't. I've seen people do that. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I can't put fruit with meat. That's just weird. I've seen people do that shit. So I had to ask you. I just put hot sauce, but or barbecue sauce or some shit.
No, that sounds good. I thought, what if I said yes? He would be like, all right, get the fuck out of here. Just like, hang up the phone.
Shit. I can see
but
that.
All right, man. You have a good night. I'll be listening in.
All right, Jack. Peace. All right, there he goes. I got since he brought it up, I'm going to share my screen and show you guys this video of Ty Fields. Because it was Monty Barrett. So check it out. I pulled this up on YouTube. This shouldn't be copyrighted. I should be able to show this. But I remember watching this live. Yeah, this is back in 2008. Wow. So this goes back. I can't do math right now. It goes back 14 years. I can't remember what undercard this was. This is on an undercard. Man, I'm trying to remember. But Fields was this huge dude, man. And he was from North Dakota or some shit, and they called him Big Sky. Ty Big Sky Fields. He's about to get dropped hard. Let me fast forward here. And see, look how he's fighting low down to Monty Barrett's level. As a big man, you should never crouch down like that. Head right up on the line. And Barrett's just going to reach with an overhand. I think it's an overhand right, if I remember correctly. There it is. Oh, there's one. There's the left. Oh! And I mean, that dude fell hard, real hard. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get up. He's not getting up, Jim. And that was that. That was the Ty Fields experiment. That I can't remember how many fights he had, but he was undefeated for a while. And because he was so big, they were marketing him. I mean, everyone kind of knew what they had, right? At the level there. But yeah, Monty Barrett put that to bed. We got a super chat. Oh, you know what, Sam? I missed your super chat during Thad's call, but thank you for the super chat. He said, pick the other fights, Thad. Well, he did give you his thoughts on the Hrgovic fight, right? And I completely agree with him. I think Jack said the same thing. Hrgovic should get him out of there. I'd say middle rounds. I'm not going to say second or third. I would be impressed if he did, because Zhang is a big dude. He's just a big, big guy. Sam A, again with a super chat. Thanks again. He said, maybe if Ukraine being flattened will affect Usyk. Yeah, so I know where you're going with that. I know I got to that late, but, a lot has been made about Usyk fighting in the war or just being at war, his homeland being at war. Because, I've brought up the war thing, and some people say, he's not on the front lines. People just always got to talk shit. His country's at war. So even if whether he's in the front lines or he's in the back, he sees what's going on, right? It's traumatic. And I should mention this. I think we mentioned it maybe last week, but Usyk is, I think, like, not taking any money for this fight in the Ukraine from the Ukrainian network, so they could show this for free to everybody in the Ukraine, which is pretty awesome. But, I think we've all talked about how the war may negatively affect Usyk, but to your point, Sam, maybe it could affect him in a positive way. Maybe it inspires him the way Buster Douglas was inspired against Mike Tyson. So we could see something like that. Canada Chris asked, but do you put pineapple on pizza, Mike? No one does that shit. Nobody, no Italian that I know, puts pineapple on their pizza. Now, I'm also Eastern European, but I don't think any Eastern Europeans do that shit either. Pineapple does not belong on pizza. No, that shit is whack. Hell no. I'm a snob about my pizza. I'll admit that shit. I will admit it. All right. No more phone calls. Okay. Let's see. Chad says pizza equals no fruit or fish. Thank you, sir. You get the applause. You get the applause button. William says applesauce on pork chops is ungodly. I don't get applesauce. Applesauce is baby food. It literally looks like baby food. Just never been an applesauce guy, but I've seen people do that, like in, middle America. I've seen people, order pork chops and put applesauce on it. And I don't know. That's just one of those things I don't quite understand. There's certain food things I don't understand. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Yeah, Mindiola, you're right. Ann Wolf's knockout was way worse. I should pull that one up. I'm definitely going to get this damn video probably on some YouTube. YouTube's going to ban this video now because I'm showing stuff, but none of this is copywritten, so I should be able to show it. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of clips here. Let me show this since Mindiola brought it up, and then we'll bounce, guys. But this Ann Wolf knockout, check this shit out. Again, this is a big chick, big, muscular. Who knows what the hell this chick is on, but she's definitely juicing or something. But Ann Wolf did not fuck around. Ann Wolf did not play. All right, I'm going to just fast forward because this was a quick one. Now, at least this girl's fighting tall, but she is straight up and backing straight up. Head is right on the line. And right away from the jabs, right, you can see what's up. Because Ann's touching her with the jab. Went for a body shot there. It's coming. Boom! Walked right into that shit. Holy hell. She don't know what world it is. I got to show that one again. Walks right into this. Whew. And Ann dipped a little bit. Like she might go to the body before she shot that. Watch. Boom! Damn, son. That had to hurt. Actually, it probably didn't even hurt. She just didn't know what the hell happened. All right. Well, guys, that's it for this episode. So we are going to actually, you know what? Don't drop. We got a UK caller just called in. And since you took the time to call in all the way from the UK, we're going to extend the show for you. And then after this call, we're going to end it. So if you're staying on, then you're going to get to hear this UK call. Let's jump to this 780. What's up? You're on the show.
Hi, Mike. Chris Bergen. How you doing?
Chris, I thought that might be you. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing really good, man. Enjoying the show. And you said no call, so I thought I'd call in.
Cool.
Hey, I just wanted to tell the funny story from last week when I was in Manchester City Centre, and there was a crowd of about 50 people outside a Foot Locker shop. And I said to the guys, we'd had a few drinks at this time. I said, "What's going on over here?" I said, "I don't know." So I walked over and I said there was a young guy in the queue with his girlfriend. I said, "What's going on here?" He said, "Oh, Tommy Fury's brother is in there." And I said, "What? You mean Tyson Fury?" He went, "I don't know the guy's name." I said, "What?"
That's crazy.
So, yeah. So I walked over and I thought it must be his other brother. So I looked over in the through the window and I saw his other brother Shane Fury walking around. I thought, oh, it must have meant him. And then all of a sudden, Tyson Fury walks over. I'm like,
wow.
the guy who described Tyson Fury as Tommy Fury's brother. I mean, come on, that's
how old is this guy? How old is he?
Earlier 23, 24, 25.
Okay. So
I went over to the.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but he so obviously this guy knows Tommy Fury because of the Jake Paul thing, right? That's what I'm guessing.
Well, no, there's so I went over to the guy and said, there was Tyson Fury in there. He went, "Oh, I don't know the guy." I said, "How do you know Tommy Fury then? If you don't know him, because he's like 10 times more famous than Tommy Fury." He said, "Oh, I watched Love Island." Oh, here we go. So Love Island is basically like the British version of these trash programs in America, like these housewife programs and all these shit.
Is it like
people watch?
They used to have one here called Temptation Island, where they put a bunch of single people on an island and got them drunk and they all had sex, basically. Is that what that is?
Yeah, exactly the same as that. So this guy obviously watched that with his girlfriend or something, and
wow.
and I was just like, wow, imagine the disrespect on Tyson Fury.
Holy shit.
Called Tommy Fury's brother.
Hey, Tommy Fury is a good-looking guy. I'll say the dude does look like he's a model or something, so I can see why he'd be on a show like that. Yeah,
he's got a different mom to Tyson Fury.
Okay.
His mom's from like Malta. He's got Maltese mom, I think. So.
That's what it is. Malta. That's a little island in between Italy and North Africa. So the women there are gorgeous. Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on holiday there. They filmed a Popeye film there, and there's a whole Popeye village there. I went to the Popeye village. It was actually quite interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought it was absolutely hilarious how, they described Tyson Fury as Tommy Fury. I mean, he is his brother, but to describe him as that is hilarious.
That is insane, dude. Wow.
But yeah, as regards to the whole situation with that, I'm so glad the ring of, I don't know whether the ring put pressure on Tyson Fury to give up the belt or whatever, but I'm so happy that, this Usyk Joshua fight is for that, because Tyson Fury, I really, really, really like the guy as a fighter. I respect the guy a lot, but the guy's full of shit. And the guy just says one thing one day, he says he's retired. The next day he's saying he's going to fight Derek Chisora.
Right.
And then the next day he's saying he's retired again. You just can't take anything the guy says seriously. And, we just need some clarity in the division. And to be fair, Mauricio Sullivan and the WBC, they should, do something with that as well, because it's a joke, really. And he said, he was on TalkSport Radio and they were interviewing him. They said, well, if you're retired, you should give up the belt. And Tyson Fury started shouting at the people on TalkSport saying, I'm the champ. I've got 1 year to decide what I want to do. Don't you disrespect me and all this rubbish. So
that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. He's waiting. Like you said, he's waiting to see what happens with this fight. If AJ wins, he'll 100% fight him. If AJ loses, he doesn't want no part of Usyk.
I completely agree. And it's interesting that there's some fans out there that are pissed off about what Ring Magazine's doing. And I would figure more fans would appreciate it, because if the sanctioning organizations took Tyson Fury and other guys at their word when they said they were retired, we can move forward. These guys go back on their word and they hold up divisions. Pacquiao and Mayweather did that for years when they held on. And look at what Crawford and Spence are doing, kind of. So sometimes you can put pressure on these fighters by saying, okay, you're retired, cool. Belt's vacated, we're going to give it to somebody else. That might motivate them to move instead of sitting on their ass,
Who are these fans that are not happy about that, though? I've not seen any of these fans. They're not real fans, surely.
I've seen a couple people on Twitter. Yeah, it's the typical trolls on Twitter. They've sent me DMs. I mean, I get death threats on Twitter DMs and stuff like that. All kinds of racist stuff, all the time. But yeah, a few people, responded to some of my tweets. And some people will do it publicly, but then others will send a DM and they'll say, "Oh, I saw that tweet. This is bullshit. Why is Ring Magazine doing this?" I'm like, what the hell? Like you should
pathetic.
Appreciate it.
It's pathetic, man.
It really is.
So have you done an official prediction for the Usyk Joshua fight then, or are you saving that till Friday?
No. So officially on the record, because Ring Magazine, like I said, we post the predictions there. We do like a prediction thread that we post the week of the fight on ringtv.com. And officially I got Usyk decision. But okay. I'm really nervous about it. I'm nervous about that pick.
Yeah. Do you know what? I until you said it, I never thought about the whole AJ signed this huge deal with the zone, and they really need him to win this fight. And I didn't think about that, with it being in Saudi Arabia and the judges and all this. It never really crossed my mind, but because of obviously he got the decision in the first fight, Usyk. But thinking about it now, I'm thinking maybe, he needs to win 9 rounds, Usyk, to get this fight.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. That's just the way I see it. I'd love to be proven wrong. It would be amazing if we got a super, super close fight and the judges got it right, whether AJ wins it or Usyk wins it, because I like both fighters. I just want to see a good fight.
I like them both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm British, so obviously I want Joshua to win. Right. I'm really rooting for the guy. I rate the guy. I think he's massively underrated in America. I really, really rate the guy. He's got his flaws, of course he has. But, I mean, if you look at his resume, who the people he's fought over the years, he's fought a lot more people than a lot. You look at his resume versus Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder's resume, there's no comparison. And, the amount of top 10 fighters AJ's fought. Yeah, he's lost 2 fights. So what?
Exactly.
So what? Who cares? Why? I don't understand why the O has so much value these days.
It's a big crazy thing and with American fans. And I don't understand it. It drives me crazy, but it does seem to be a big thing with American fans. I don't know why. Yeah,
but if it wasn't such a big thing, we would see the fights more often. That's what annoys me.
Yes, I completely agree.
People are scared. People are scared to lose their O. But why? Look, the best fight isn't out there at the moment. You got people like Lomachenko. He's lost fights.
Canelo.
People don't care.
Yeah.
Your Canelo, he's lost fights. He's lost. But these elite fighters, if you lose to other elite fighters, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the New England Patriots, they've lost to other great sides. Real Madrid in football, they've lost to other great sides. It doesn't matter. You come back. It's how you come back from those losses that counts, I think.
I completely agree, brother. Completely agree.
Yeah. Exactly. Great to chat to you, Mike, and I think that's my call. So,
all right.
Speak to you soon.
All right, man. Have a good night, Chris. Talk soon, man. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks. You doing a Friday wrap up?
Yeah, I should. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, chat to you later, man.
All right, ciao.
All right.
There he goes. All right, guys, we are out of here. Great show. And we'll try to do a show Friday, as I said, on my channel, where we will just go over anything else we see this week. And hopefully we get a great fight Saturday. Let me know if, again, you want me to do like a live video during the fight, or if you want me to do an immediate reaction video right after the fight. All right, let me know which one works for you guys. All right, see you at the fights. Peace.